I know by now you're starting to question whether I'm making sense in this series or whether I'm trying to throw you off the scent on what actually makes people succeed in everything that they do. But I'd like to point out something. Most people misdiagnose what made them succeed, and it's holding others back. In this series that I've aptly named The Hidden Mechanics of Mastery, and in this installment, I'd like to explore the hidden factor behind success and why we tend to believe what others say made them succeed, and why most people who have succeeded don't actually know what made them succeed. For this, what actually makes a lot of people succeed, what I've observed and I've seen out here, it's not actually what most people think. Ask any successful trader why they made it, and you'll hear something along the lines of, I found the right setup, I stuck to a strategy, I learned to control my emotions. These things matter. I'm not even saying they do not. But often they're not the real reason, the real step, the real actions that they took to get to where they are. The truth is a lot less glamorous, far more repeatable, and sadly, for every influencer and guru out there, cannot be easily packaged and marketed as a course to be sold. These people just did it more. Skills grow in the shadows of repetition. This is just advice that you can't and don't need to pay for. I know. It must be sad, especially after you've just paid for a course. It wasn't the perfect strategy that made someone actually succeed. It was time in the charts. It was showing up over and over until the pattern recognition became second nature, until intuition was earned, until they'd seen this market behavior more times than they could count. It wasn't a PDF that shares all the secrets to the markets that one person has coded. It wasn't following someone else's trades and trading the way they do that they reached that level of success. Until they'd seen perfect setups and executions go to shit is when they actually realize and understand that it's not the perfect setups that makes them succeed. So the question is, why do we miss this? Why don't we ever realize that this is actually what makes people succeed? The key to mastery isn't glamorous. It's not complex enough to be used as a reason for massive success you see out here. You'll see someone making millions, and if they tell you that they just did it more, it's not a glamorous answer. People will just ask, it can't possibly be that easy, right? Quantity tends to hide in plain sight. We see the result, the success, and attribute it to something clean and clear. A tool, a method, a mindset shift, a PDF that was shared online. We tend to miss the mess behind it, the chaos related to the simple actions that are required on a daily basis to achieve that. The trades taken, the missteps, the hours of watching price action form and fade. I know it must be sad to hear this, that there's no secret sauce. It's just by doing it more. It's just by trying and trying and trying and trying until it clicks. As a result of not believing this and keeping asking yourselves, it can't possibly be that easy, right? We tend to chase more complexity, more inputs, thinking that when we get more input and more complex strategies and trying to see that the moon is in a certain position, that's when we'll get the output. The moment you realize that it is that easy is when things start to click. When you realize it's just like playing Finding Waldo. If you do it enough times, you start to see the patterns. You start to spot the dude quicker than you'd expect. This is true beyond trading. And honestly, it's harder to spot than you think. Basically, no one ever recognizes it as it is developing or when you're doing it. It is so simple that it flies under the radar. It makes us start to explore what makes these individuals stick. However, it's often all for naught. After all, founders will say it was a great product, but in truth, it was their 10th attempt and they just didn't quit. Creators credit their viral idea, but that came after hundreds of videos that barely moved the needle. They will focus on that one video that ended up trending, and after that point they just create that video on and again, and various variations of that video. But at the end of the day, you tend to realize that it was just one aspect that clicked, one version, one video that was perfectly executed, that followed all the steps that they have been building over the past 10 years, and then it clicks into place and it goes viral. Athletes point to the mindset. I had the right mindset going into the race, but they forget that this was built through thousands of reps before the mental game ever kicked in. It's all the same story. And we tend to misattribute success to the last thing that clicked, not the process that got us there. Experience is invisible until it shows up as instinct. This tends to result in asking questions like, why does it work for them and not for me? You find yourself in a Discord forum of that one guru who's teaching a single strategy. Some people are saying it worked, others are saying that it doesn't work. And you ask, why is it working for them and not for me? When two traders use the same strategy but get different results, the difference is usually not the system. The same applies to business strategies, approaches, ideas, and such. One person feels when to trust the setup and when to step aside. One sees the nuance the other hasn't trained their eyes to notice yet. One has earned discretion. This is not talent. It is exposure. It is quantity. It applies to business strategies, approaches, ideas, and everything else in life. At the end, we credit these individuals who succeed with being instinctual, smart, and visionary and such. We can't bring ourselves to accept the factor driving such levels of success, since it seems so easy, so simple for anyone to do. And then we ask, why isn't everyone doing this? Because it's so simple to achieve once you realize that it's just about the reps. But since our minds cannot fathom why thousands, millions of people fail, yet the few succeed, we then tend to attribute it to luck. Actually, once we do actually get to the point of realizing that it's simple and different people are doing it, and we start to ask why for some it's not working, we attribute it to luck. And the answer to whether some people are just lucky is yes. Yes, luck actually does play a role, but only if you can catch it. Quality teaches us to chase the black swan events. The events where the market rallies 1,000, 10,000 points. Or if you're modest, the 1:3 risk to reward trade, the 1:10. However, if you don't have the reps in, you won't recognize these moments. You'll be there thinking the market has gone high enough and is therefore due for a reversal, and then you try shorting a bullish market. And even if you do, you might not know how to act on it. You'll be there thinking, how about I just wait for a retracement until it never comes? I know it has happened to you, and you know I'm right. Some moments are pure opportunity, but without enough in the game time, luck passes right by. Success then is often quantity driving intuition, or rather, quantity driven intuition, and a bit of luck, and finally, and most importantly, readiness to act on both. So you first start by building quantity. You execute enough times to build intuition. And then you get a lucky situation in the market, a black swan event that you couldn't even predict. And then you are ready to execute when it happens. You don't start freezing and saying, oh, the market has gone high enough, I'll be waiting for the retracement. For this trader, they will start to short a trending bullish market because they're thinking it has gone high enough. They're not recognizing this opportunity that the market is bullish. And then there's this other trader who will say, I'll wait for the retracement. Both traders are right depending on the context. They can be right. You can be lucky. But it takes enough intuition, enough time in the market to start recognizing these situations if and when they do happen. So what's the takeaway? You probably won't know what really made you succeed, and it's sad. And neither does everyone else. Does anyone else out there? However, try to look deeper anyway. Whichever industry you're working in, chances are it wasn't the hack or tool that you were given. Maybe the tool played a role, it encouraged you to do it enough times. Maybe that can happen. I remember I was starting out development and learning to code. Tools played a significant role in encouraging me to write code, to try out things. They encouraged me to click on the run button so that you can actually run your code and figure out whether it's running or not. The tools that presented errors in a better way encouraged me to continue debugging, continue exploring, and continue trying out and writing and writing and writing and writing. And actually running code and seeing it work also contributed a lot to me continuing to execute. Executing that single trade that wins when you follow your plan perfectly encourages you to take the next. For me, it was the reps behind the scenes, the things that you did on a day-to-day basis that actually made you succeed. As such, if you want success in trading, stop chasing the thing that worked for someone else. And I'm saying quote unquote worked for someone else in this situation. You start by building your volume. That is where instinct, edge, and mastery live. And without accepting this as a fact, you'll continue chasing the next guru, the next PDF, the next course, the next book, the next video, the next hackathon. Oh, that's for development. the next symposium and talk that you can attend to actually fit the situation, your specific situation. But you forget, most people who tell you why they succeeded don't know what made them succeed. Remember, it's a combination of quantity, which builds intuition, luck happening, and the confidence to actually execute. So in conclusion, all this makes it kind of hard to believe when someone says, I succeeded by following this, doesn't it? Actually, I know that some of you might have started doubting whether what I'm saying is actually factual, because for all you know, I might be attributing quantity or doing it a lot of times to my success. But this is actually just a call to you guys to try it out. Try it out on your end and investigate the industries that you're working in. wherever you're working in, just explore the visionaries, or people rather considered as visionaries in your industries. What made them tick? Have you explored the number of times that they failed before? Have you explored the different ideas that were seemingly dumb in their situations and they executed anyway, and they failed and they learned and they changed one aspect or the other and ultimately come out with their masterpiece? Think about it. And for those who are actually thinking about executing, try and start executing with the like button below, and comment down below what you think about your life, everything that is happening in your life, not even in trading. How has quantity contributed to your executions, your ask actions, and whether or not you achieved success or not? Comment down below your thoughts, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. The series isn't over yet, but it's quite close to finishing or completing. So, in as far as all that is concerned, don't forget and continue to trade, continue to try, continue to execute on your plans, your strategy, and everything that you're doing in trading, because at the end of the day, these small actions are what actually helps you build the intuition. And remember, the small steps matter. Cheers.